Hey folks, my guest today is Sam Thompson. He's a former Fortune 500 growth consultant turned digital entrepreneur. He currently runs a product studio that builds, grows, and sells profitable internet companies and teaches online entrepreneurs how to grow their businesses faster. Sam, you ready to take us to the top?
Let's do it.
All right, product studios are all the rage right now. So do you have your own internal dev team, and how many projects have you spun out?
Yeah, so we actually run a little bit more of a hub-based model. I think that the moment that you try to formalize a product studio, you lose some of the leverage and flexibility that comes with it. So I run much more like contractor-based. I just utilize my network and see what's good. Projects to date, I don't know, 25. If you're including partners that we bring in, probably like 35.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk about a real example? Maybe one of these on your site, like Hype Fury. How'd you work with that crew?
Yeah, so Hype Fury, they came in more as a client. That's like kind of the middle ground piece. Is like in some cases it's client based, sometimes it's a much more partnership or building products that I own entirely. Yeah, examples that I can talk about. Generally, the ones that we're starting up. I just acquired a company called Leadbird. They're an omni-channel lead generation SaaS company.
How do you say it? Leadbyrd?
Yeah, leadbird.io. And so I was actually a client of theirs. They have a phenomenal SaaS in the background. So we just got that, brought in a team. I mean, we're up 8,000 in MRR after 6 days.
That's a Leadbird.
Yeah, Leadbird.
Is that the only one right now where you've run that playbook on, that you own it?
No, I mean, I own 100%, about 12.
Okay, so there's 12 SaaS companies that you or Jetpack basically own 100% of. Can you name a couple other ones?
Yeah, TryBump, TryBump.com. That one's more data as a service. Okay. And so that's essentially right now in the in the influencer space, there's a bunch of, for e-com brands, there's a bunch of platforms that love to charge $300 a month for access to this outdated database. Yep. And so we decided to kind of flip that model, make it much more accessible, only $40 a month, and do 100 influencers a week, more gating the amount that we put out and make sure that they're handpicked. Yep. And so that one's still kind of in like soft launch. I was only doing a couple hundred in MRR, which, like, to be honest, in the product studio land, I think a lot of people are gunning for like massive exits and investments, and I don't do that. I just understand the acquisition climate of micro SaaS right now. And so for real, our barometer of success is 1,000 in MRR. Yep. Because 1,000 in MRR, as long as you have a brand moat, tech moat, and revenue moat, you can get, especially with under 10K in ARR, $100,000 acquisitions. And so our goal is like, let's just pump and dump as many of those as we can a year.
Mm-hmm. How many of the 12 are at more than $1,000 a month in revenue?
Right now, 5.
Okay, and which one's the largest?
That's one I can't talk about. Thank you, legal. The largest one, we scaled from 0 to 26K in MRR in the first 42 days. Got an offer for 1.2 million, turned it down, realized that we could make an exit for probably 5 to 7 million in the next 18 months. And so just been scaling that. Say it again.
What space is that one in?
We like the prosumer markets is the ones that we focus on a lot. Like Bump is a key example of that.
It's trybump.com.
TryBump, TRY.
Oh, TryBump. Got it.
Yeah, trybump.com. And so that's an example of like the prosumer market right now. The spaces that we think are the most valuable are creating tools for people that make buying decisions as if they're a business, but they have unilateral decision making because you don't have to go through a B2B sales process. Leadbird is different. That's like B2B. That's like our average time to close is 7 days. But with things like Bump, I come from an e-com background. Like all the companies that I started were e-com. And so I focus on profitable acquisition. And so going after those prosumer markets that can be targeted via Facebook ads, which is like really our strong suit, but have MRR components because they're micro SaaS, is the ones that absolutely scale. As long as you can achieve profitable acquisition on the front end, it's game over.
Let's talk about Leadbird. You bought it at what amount of MRR?
So we bought it it was at like 400.
$400 a month. And what did you pay for it?
Yeah. That one paid 1,200.
Okay, paid 1,200. And how'd you find it? Like microacquire or something?
No, the big thing on microacquire is it's not, well, I won't say that. I would say it's not so much in favor of the buyers, unless they have a plan to grow it and want to flip it on the back end. But the multiples right now are ridiculous in favor of the founders. Yeah. 6 to 8x ARR numbers, or annualized profit. But most of the time I'm going through GitHub. Another one that I like is Code Canyon. There's a couple of platforms like that where in the micro SaaS space, it's the Pareto principle. It's 80-20. The 20% of the business is the bones, like the actual meat and potatoes of what needs to happen. Then I can have a contractor come in, whether it's redo the website, redo some of the billing stuff, whatever it needs to be able to push it out over scale. And so we just kind of buy existing code bases that I think have promise, reposition and then repackage them for a specific market, and then launch. And so most of the time I get the actual meat and potatoes of the code severely underpriced because it's normally a developer who built something with no intention of really turning it into a business. And then I can take the functionality, put all the bells and whistles on it to make it scale and be able to sell it.
Mm-hmm. So Leadbird, when did you buy that? When that closed?
Early May, like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, 2 weeks ago. And it's doing $8K per month now in revenue?
Yeah, we just did 8. We just hit 8. Well, 7.5 with one that's closing today at another 500.
So walk us through how you did that. Getting your first 10K MRR.
Yeah, so the best part about Leadbird and one of the things that I love the most about that industry specifically is that it's self-fulfilling, right? We use Leadbird to generate leads for Leadbird and sell them Leadbird, right? And so it's literally this system that just runs. And that's why we ended up buying that system. Because right now with LinkedIn running into the issues that LinkedIn has with organic outreach, right? They just limited connection requests and are starting to put more and more ties down on the automation side, kind of like Instagram in late 2018. And so we got to go omni-channel. And so we didn't really build it. We bought it and then we added some stuff to it, but it's full omni-channel, email, text, all of that. And then we just go balls to walls with organic.
How much have you
Twitter?
How much have you spent on paid ads with Leadbird so far?
Paid ads, 0, because it's all organic using the platform itself.
Got it. So you're using Leadbird, you're targeting a job title, whatever, then you're cold emailing those folks, and then a portion are signing up.
Mm-hmm.
What's the
Booking
job
discovery
title?
calls? We kind of do anything. So we don't do it so much by niching down into the job title, which like when you're getting started in SaaS or any B2B, that's kind of what you do. We go much more for their average order size, like what's their LTV? Because as long as you can create a 10x ROAS on the offer, it's a no-brainer for the client to sign up.
How do you know what the people you're prospecting for, what they charge for their tool?
Generally company size is one of them. We try to stick obviously in the B2B services.
So Sam, you're assuming that if a company has more employees, their average ACV of what they're selling is probably higher.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And people that are active on LinkedIn, and that's like the targeting that we can do within Leadbird, which is like the ones that are actively putting out content about specific topics are generally trying to generate leads from LinkedIn anyways. And so we just target people that are the most active on LinkedIn that match our search criterias. And then it means that specific, like when LinkedIn was like, yo, you can only send 100 a week, we were like, we got to make those 100 count. And so our search parameters got a lot more stringent because we were like, we want to make sure that the use of each invite actually matters.
Connection request is what you're talking about.
Yeah. Each of them actually matters a little bit more versus what people in LinkedIn lead gen and all these other automated tools do is like spray and they're like, let's just pump the shotgun, let it rip. And I'm like, no, we're going to run snipers. We're going to find the people that we actually want. And we do other stuff too, where like when you sign up for a managed plan on Leadbird, we actually go and build you custom lead lists first. And so we actually are able to like, for everyone that signs up, we're like, yep, here's 700 qualified, verified leads with email, all of it. We got tired of LinkedIn automation tools that just were like, yep, we're going to hit up as many people as humanly possible. And like, all it does is waste everybody's time. And your churn is ridiculous on automation tools because of it, right? Like 3 to 4 months, maybe. And so we were like, let's get super specific. And I brought in a dude that runs a performance-based lead gen agency to run it. And so he knows how to get results. Nick Abraham.
Okay. What's his firm?
Yeah. His what?
His firm.
His is Elevate Leads. Elevate with 2 A's.
Okay, got it. And is he full-time now at Jetpack, or no, you're just contracting with him?
Yeah, so we're actually going to bring him in. He's getting on the cap table for Leadbird.
Interesting. So it'll be like Jetpack owns 80%, which is really huge, and then he owns like 20 or something.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And he'll generate leads, paid stuff. Interesting. How many, if you add up all the money you personally spent buying companies for the past, 2-3 years, how much have you spent, would you say?
In the last 2 or 3 years, probably 300,000.
Okay. And how many companies have you sold, and what was like the aggregate, like add up all the sales?
Sold?
Yeah.
Sales price total would probably be just north of 2 mil.
I mean, okay, so you could argue like great return on ad spend. I mean, do you ever go raise a fund and do this at, do more?
Yeah, it's similar to what I said at the beginning, is like the moment that you formalize it, I feel like it loses some of its power. I'm like, I don't want a dad, to be honest. Like, I do understand the leverage from an earnings potential that raising a fund offers. And it's been brought up where people want to like back Jetpack as a venture studio. But when you put in money like that, you know, the people that are funding it have to have a very keen understanding of how I operate and how I grow businesses. And the intention is everything. It's like, I'm not gunning for billions, right?
The pre-recording, the first thing you say to me, we've never met, is, "Hey, cutie." I mean, I'm like this guy's like fucked up psychologically. I love this.
Yeah, and that's fine. It's like, I run things differently, and the people that are around understand that, which is cool.
The reason I'm asking this is because this brings up a bigger question about personal like asset allocation, right? Which I know it's a big word for someone like you that's like creative and interesting, but like you were thinking personally, okay, do I take this money and put it into more SaaS companies? Do I put it into like cool real estate I'm going to build with my wife? Like, do I put it into crypto? Like, how do you think about that?
I think about lifestyle first, more than anything else. To get into like real quick, a super personal thing. I did very, very well when I was younger. I sold my first agency at 18 for 7 figures. And at the same exact time, both my grandparents died tragically. So I was like this kid that was on top of the world financially, and I lost everything that actually mattered. And it reshaped my understanding of like what I want my life to be. And I run the math. I do a Google sheet twice a year. Age 25, 35, 45, 55, and 65. And I literally, like line by line, write, what am I going to spend my money on? So like when I'm 55, I'm talking about like, oh, I'm going to have a daughter who's playing club volleyball, right? What's that cost? And I'm doing the research. I'm looking at it. And what I will say is, for me to be happy, I love building stuff. I love creating things. I love growing businesses. I like that my effort and my expertise is validated with cash. But I just know that there's a line there. Right. Like, and to me, going after venture funding or having a dad that's like watching my every move is like, it might give me more asset leverage, which is phenomenal. But like, if my target is 30,000, and to be honest, it's only 30,000 when I'm 55, like right now to be happy, I need like 6, right? Like that's it.
Yep.
And so I just focus on building in that direction of like, let's build things that make me happy with people that I care about, not just like, I want a jet, because I don't really want a jet.
Sam,
like,
we're out of time, so I want to wrap up here. This is
that's good.
Do you share this publicly anywhere? Have you written a blog post on this or something?
On what? The
on this lifestyle, 25, 35, 40?
I talk about it all the time. I send people like the Google Sheet template that I use, but I haven't turned it into a post.
Can you send it to me?
Yeah, for sure.
I'd love that. And then last question, there's people listening right now that are going to say, I want to go find a GitHub repository or Code Cannon thing doing $400 a month or 5K in AR and buy it for $1,200. You obviously don't want that competition, obviously, but I'm still going to push you anyway. If they want to do that, where would they go on GitHub? Where do they look?
I search generally, like if you just search product categories, like one that I searched that I found that I actually like that all y'all can try to steal and I'll beat you to it. Is there's one that I found that's interesting. That's like you guys know Intercom, I'm assuming. There's like an Intercom code base that serves the exact same functionality. I just bought one for $400. That is, have you ever heard of Use Proof? The little pop-ups?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Just bought that for $400. Like, and then I just have my developers look at it and say, hey, how can we make this custom? Dope. I'll
and drive
put
traffic.
1,000. Yeah, and drive traffic. And I'm like, to me, I spent $800 a month on use proof anyway. So the company's immediately at 800 in MRR, which then gives me the leverage to say, okay, that's 7,200 or whatever it is, 9,600, I'm sorry, in ARR, which then I could go and sell for 100.
Yep. Sam, I love this, man. If people want to learn more about you online, where can they go?
Jetpack.so, Twitter, I'm Sam Thompson.
Guys, maybe I've interviewed a lot of people, maybe like the poster child for understanding micro SaaS, a healthy lifestyle, bootstrapping, like all in one person. You have it here in Sam Thompson. $300,000 spent on buying over 12 companies the past 3 years, over 2 million in exits, most importantly, building a life that he loves. Sam, thanks for taking us to the top.
Hey, I really appreciate it.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers, they try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.